ask and ye shall receive. Literally yesterday, as when I'm recording this, I uploaded a little clip on here talking about how I was in a, a little bit of a pickle because I wanted to read an adult romance, just like an adult rom-com, but there was none available yet on my Libby, so I was just kind of stuck with nothing that I really wanted to read, but I wanted to read. And then this morning, my hold came in. I had a hold. I have a few holds right now, but one of my holds came in, and it's for In the Weeds by B.K. Borrison, which is an adult. I don't know if it's technically considered a rom com, but like Love Light Farms, I didn't consider it a particularly heavy book. So I expect this to be in the same vein. So that's great. I got what I wanted to read. And it occurs to me that I should probably check my NetGalley and see if any of those got approved. Uh-oh. Um, but I am at the very least going to be reading In the Weeds by B.K. Borrison, and I am excited. I'm just about 25% of the way through In the Weeds by B.K. Borrison. So I've gotten through basically like the setup of the story. It's about Beckett and how did I immediately forget her name? Evelyn, Evie. It's about Beckett and Evie. Evie is this like really big influencer personality, and in the first book, she was the one who was doing that like small business spotlight kind of thing where she was traveling around the country visiting small businesses and then kind of putting them on blast on her social media to um maybe putting them on blast isn't the right word. I don't know my lingo. Promoting them on her social media page so that other people could find them and support them and all this kind of stuff. And that was like a big part of the plot of the first book, was like wanting this visit from this social media influencer to go well. But Evie and Beckett, a few months before the first book, had a one night stand or two night stand. Just by chance, they happened to be in the same city for different conferences. Well, Beckett was there for a conference, Evie was there for some sort of social media thing. And they ended up meeting, spent a couple nights together, and then Evie left without saying goodbye. And they've both been very hung up on each other since. Like, they can't stop thinking about each other. And, but like very much expected never to see each other again. But then in the first book, they do see each other again. It's awkward, but they don't really resolve anything. And then in this book, Evie is just kind of overwhelmed with her, not overwhelmed isn't the right word, but like she's reached a point where she's feeling very directionless and unfulfilled and stagnant with her work as an influencer, and she just doesn't feel happy. And so she just abruptly decides to take a hiatus. And her best friend, who's also kind of like her manager's not the right word, but like she helps her with all her content. She was like, well, where's the last place that you felt happy or like connected? And Evie is like, well, Love Light Farms, whenever I visited there for that social media piece, I felt very like at peace there. So she just impulsively travels to where Love Light Farms is. I can't remember the name of the town. And of course, ends up running into Beckett. Specifically, she arrives and the bed and breakfast in town is fully booked because there's a kite festival. And so all the hotels in the area are completely booked up. So she's standing outside the bed and breakfast kind of at a loss of like, where am I going to sleep? Because it's like nighttime and there's no hotels available and I don't really know anyone here, not really. And Beckett, of course, happens to be walking down the street at that time. And so he, after some conversation, he's like, well, my house is a good size and there's several spare bedrooms, so you can stay in one of the spare bedrooms. Both of them, when they agree on this, they're anticipating that she's only going to stay one night, and then the next day something will come up where she can stay somewhere because the owner of the bed and breakfast said she would call around town. They're both anticipating that it'll just be one night and then she'll leave. But obviously that's not going to be what happens. I'm enjoying it so far. The tension between them is really good. That was one thing I really enjoyed in the first book too, was the tension. And that's something that this author remains very good at. I also just love all the little Beckett has a soft spot for animals. So in the first book he adopted 4 cats, and in this book it seems like he might be about to adopt a baby duckling, and I love it. Adopt all the animals, please. The atmosphere remains just spectacular, even outside of a Christmas setting. The small town setting is just so lovely. That's about all I really have to talk about. Again, it's just I've just been through the setup at this point. but I am really looking forward to reading this book. I should probably update about this book at some point, huh? I'm 60% of the way through. Uh, it's a romance novel. It's hard to have things to talk about without just spoiling the book, but it's really good. I'm really, really enjoying it. Obviously, I've read it very quickly. I really like the themes of, like, for lack of a better word, finding yourself. That makes it sound very Eat, Love, Pray, or Eat, Pray, Love. But it's not quite that. It's like, I think I talked about this in the intro. Evie's kind of like burnt out and feeling stagnant with her work in social media. And so she's kind of, her whole thing that she keeps coming back to is she's trying to find her happy. And she and Beckett have like a conversation at one point about, like, they have a few conversations about it. One where he's giving her advice and being like, it's fine if the thing that used to make you happy doesn't make you happy now, and it's fine if you don't always feel like you know your whole self. You're allowed to change, you're allowed to have ups and downs. The point is the trying. And then there's also a later conversation where he talks about how this is kind of a spoiler. It's more about his backstory. But basically, when he was a kid, he wanted to be an astronaut, and then because of stuff that happened, he ended up becoming a farmer instead. And he still loves the stars, but he also finds great joy in being a farmer. And so he talks to her about that kind of like change and adjustment and stuff. And that's kind of giving her a sense of, like, I don't know, like, it helps her validate her own journey to figure out what she wants, I guess. I'm not saying it very well, but I like the way those two elements are playing off of each other. I'm also really enjoying, I don't know if it's intended as autistic rep or if he's just supposed to be sensitive to sound, but Beckett really doesn't like loud environments. He gets really stressed. He gets very, like, he struggles to talk if he's in a place that's really loud. And so I'm appreciating that representation. I think that's very interesting. Again, I don't know if it's intended as autistic rep or not, but it could be. And overall, it's just like, it's just really good. I wish I had more to say, but I don't know how to talk about it without just talking about, you know, beat for beat what happens. So I will leave that here for now. And I'll probably won't have an update until I finish the book. I don't know how well you can hear, but it's currently raining outside. So apologies if that is noise in the background that is distracting, but such is life. I finished reading In the Weeds today. Forgot the title of the book for a second, but I finished reading In the Weeds by B.K. Borrison, and it's a 5-star. I really enjoyed it. I really like both Beckett and Evelyn. I really like their relationship. I felt like it had a satisfying conclusion and, like, development. Like, it was kind of a miscommunication trope, but not like some miscommunication tropes are obnoxious, but this one, the whole point was that both of them were approaching it from a perspective of, like, I don't want to impose, or I don't want to make them feel like they have to do this, or I don't know if they want this from me. And so they approached every conversation based on that assumption. The storm has picked up. It may in fact be thundering now. What was I saying? Yes, so the miscommunication trope is, like, sometimes I feel like miscommunication is done just for drama and it feels cheap, and it's like someone says a thing and the person immediately assumes the absolute worst interpretation of that thing, or like assumes that there's no other possible words that should have been attached to it. So, like, I've completely lost track of what I was trying to say. I've had a very intense day, so I'm very scatterbrained. But this book was really good. There were sex scenes in it, but I didn't find them particularly. They weren't super long. It was very much more about the, like, it was as much about the emotional intimacy as it was about the physical intimacy, and so it didn't describe, like, I don't know how to word it. I'm not explaining this well. Again, my brain isn't working right now. Maybe not the best time to try to leave a review, but I want to make sure I do this and don't forget. Anyway, there's smut scenes, but I would put them, like, on the lower end of spice. I don't think they were super intense. I love all the characters in this series. I think it feels very vivid. and not just in the immediate relationship and their like close friends, but like the whole town. I continue to adore all of the little animals that Beckett keeps adopting. Um, I just it was a good book. It was really good use of forced proximity. Um, and yeah, it's hard again, it's hard to talk about without getting into spoilers. That's the thing with trying to review romances is it's like how much of the relationship and the events do I talk about because what do you count as a spoiler? Um but it had some tropes I really enjoy, like without getting too specific, someone ends up in a situation where they are dangerously cold and then they need to be warmed up. And so their love interest warms them up. That happens in this book, and I love that trope. It's never confirmed, I will say that. It's never confirmed what exactly Beckett's thing with sound is. As far as is established, he just doesn't like loud environments and he prefers the quiet. So I wouldn't call this, I would call him an autistic coded character. I would not call him an autistic character because it's never made explicit, so that is worth noting. I liked the conclusion of like Evelyn's journey because she was going through this whole like personal self-discovery thing and trying to find like what is her place, what does she want. Kept coming back to, you know, finding her happy. And I liked that, like, yes, Beckett is a huge source of that for her, but it's also, I remember the name of the town, Inglewild. Wait, what was it? Inglewild? Maybe I don't remember the name of the town. I was gonna say Inglewood, but maybe it's Inglewild. I don't know. In any case, the town they're in, she gets a lot of joy from that town and the community. She also like finds a new career path that she gets a lot of fulfillment out of. And I really liked it. It was good. I don't know what else to say. It's a good book. Looking forward to reading the next one. I don't know when I will read the next one because there's always a long wait list on these books. I'm borrowing from Libby, so I maybe at some point I'll go pick up physical copies, but right now buying books is not a priority. On that note, if you want to financially support me, I do have a Patreon, and I do have exclusive Patreon videos. Notably, I have coming up at least 3 ARC reviews that I will be putting up there because I went on an ARC requesting spree and now they're all coming in and I have to deal with that. Oops. I also post writing updates and I'm open to suggestions of other things people would like to see over there because I'm not entirely sure what to put. But yes, I'm giving this a 5-star. It's another 5-star. Yay. I'm very excited. I'm excited for the arcs I have to read. If you like this video and you watched this far, what should we do for an emoji? Let's do a little duck emoji. Is there a baby duck emoji? Can there be a baby duck emoji? I hope there is a baby duck emoji. If not, whatever cute baby animal suits your fancy, if you can find an emoji of them. And thank you again for watching. Please do all the things like comment, subscribe, share, support my channel, subscribe to the Patreon. Everything would be wonderful. And that is all I have for now. Okay, bye!